Okay, this is just a quick little video, kind of embarrassing actually, of the Lowrider V3 build that I have been doing for the past 19 months. So many other projects have gotten in the way over the last year and a half. But I started printing out the parts December 22. Got those all done by mid-January 23. Began to assemble the rails. Well, actually, what I had done first, kind of hard to see, this table is actually a torsion box table, which I built about 15 years ago. It was going to be a vacuum table for a really large format CNC machine, which I had planned to build out of aluminum using my Momus CNC, which I built, 20 years ago, roughly, or whenever it came out. Well, wait a minute, it's not 20 years ago. This is embarrassing. How the older one started high school about 11 years ago. Anyhow, and what I had done, I used my Festool guiderails and circular saw to cut down wood to size in the interim. But what I did last winter, well, winter of 23, was I built these additions on the side, which allows me to lift out the guide assembly on the left and the rail guide assembly on the right, depending on which way you look at it, to get the CNC out of my way so that I can continue to use the guide rails. Anyhow, I'm taking a little bit different approach with the CNC, with the V3, version 3 of the Lowrider. I am going to have a touch screen here mounted on the side. And of course I've got a computer power button, reset button, and the emergency stop button. And let's see, where did I put the box? See, this is what happens when you're working on so many different projects. These are inlet boxes. Oh, here. This box is going to mount here on this post. It's going to mount here, and that is going to have the superPID inside of it. And of course, I've already got the optical pickup for RPM on my Dewalt 611 palm router. The backside here is where all the fun stuff starts. Okay, there's the superPID. Sorry, I picked up the wrong. Gosh, this is embarrassing. I picked up the wrong box. Here's the superPID. It's a small enclosure, dust-proof enclosure. Okay, so what I am going to do is, my plan is, I'm using a what is it? It's a Pico ITX. No, sorry, a nano-ITX form factor board, an N1000P or something like that. I'd have to look it up. Anyhow, that will control a couple of Gecko G540 drives for the various axes, the X and Y on the right, facing the opposite way, left now, and this controller for the X, Y, and the Z. So I've got the Ethernet soft stepper here on top, the motherboard on a small platform under the, well, I call it the X-axis. And then I have the two power supplies, a 5-volt power supply and a 12-volt power supply, also on a platform. So, anything else unusual? Oh, one of the things that I didn't care for was the original end blocks that held the timing belt. What I did was I didn't care for the fact that this structure did not have a dovetail. Basically, it relied on I'm assuming it relied on the timing belt being perfectly parallel with the surface in order to keep this whole thing from flopping out forward. So I remixed it with a dovetail, and I really didn't like the clamping. I just had all sorts of trouble with tensioning this. So I created, wow, a lot of dust on top of everything because I've been building so many other things the last year and a half. Anyhow, I sandwiched the timing belt in between the main body and this small 3D printed plate, pulled the cable tight, and then tightened down, clamped in the belt that way. Certainly makes it easier. Anything else? Let's see. Have an old XP computer from my mother-in-law since she required a laptop now. She's 88 and still playing around with writing bulletins for her church. Let's see, anything different? Same thing on this side. Well, I'm hoping that this fall, I'm in the home stretch, obviously. I just need to complete the wiring. Oh, this basically is just a freely rotating support for all the wiring that's above the gantry. This is going to be for the router and the optical cable to connect with the superPID. Well, enough rambling. And just to show, one of the other things that I'm working on right now is a lift using a couple of lead screws. It's going to be a projector lift for our patio. Working on that. Been working on putting together various structures around the backyard. I'm going to have to build a little deck, a floating deck here, forward of the hot tub, which we purchased in November of 23. So, okay, this time definitely enough rambling. So that is all for now.